US has called for an immediate end to the violence between Israel and the Palestinians as the conflict enters its second week. Israeli airstrikes on Gaza reached a new level of intensity in the early hours of Monday morning as the military targeted the homes of Islamic Jihad and Hamas militants. At least 200 people have been killed in the past week, including 59 children in the Gaza Strip and 10 in Israel. So what might it take to end the violence? Well, in a moment, we'll talk to two people on either side of the conflict who belong to the same organization, which is dedicated to lasting peace and cooperation. But first, take a look at this.
منذ طفولتي وأنا دائما بواجه الجيش الإسرائيلي، كان يجوا على المدرسة يجوا على البيت، كنت أخاف من الجيش الإسرائيلي وهذا الخوف تحول إلى كراهية. كنت طول عمري أحلم أن يكون معي سلاح وإني أواجههم وإني أقتلهم وإني أحمي أهلي وأحمي عائلتي. ولما انقتل صاحبي هون هذا الكره زاد وكان حلم إني أنتقم لصديقي ولأصدقائي اللي استشهدوا.
לקח לי שנים להתחיל לחפש את הסיפור של הצד השני ולהבין שהסיפור שלי לא שלם בלעדיו. והבנתי שאני לא יכול להיות חלק ממעגל האלימות ולנסות לתקן אותו באותו הזמן.
أنا لم أتقبل رواية الشعب اليهودي إنهم كانوا في هذه الأرض قبل 2000 سنة. هذا الشيء ما بيحكي معي. ولكن أنا أتقبل إنه الشعب الإسرائيلي صار له 70 سنة عايش في هذه الأرض وأودن ولد هون وأولاد ولد هون وأبون ولد هون، ويجب علينا أن نلاقي طريق نعيش مع بعض في نفس هذا المكان.
Okay, well, one of the people in that clip is Osama Eliwat, who joins me now from Jericho. Also joining me from Tel Aviv is Ayala Shalev, who works with Osama for an organization created by former fighters on both sides called Combatants for Peace. Thank you both for joining us here on the program. Ayala, I'll begin with you. Just help our audience understand very briefly what your organization aims to do.
I think, first of all, it aims to put an end to the occupation, and we do it in different ways.
But you bring sort of people who were combatants together to try and get them to work on reconciliation and cooperation. Just help our audience understand that.
Okay, the movement was built by combatants who put down their weapons, and they understood that violence is not a way to move forward in any way. And today, the movement is bigger, and we work together in any way possible to forward this message.
Osama, I'll bring you into this because we saw you in that clip there. You yourself were a Palestinian police officer. You say that you've known nothing but this conflict and you started to really think about your place in it from the age of about 14. How difficult was it then to look at the other side, see the conflict, unfolding and be able to say, no, I want peace?
It wasn't. Hi, thank you first of all for having us, for paying attention to us and our work. This is a big support for us. For me, at the beginning, this conflict was something like I was built in. I didn't think who's right and who's wrong. All what I knew about the conflict, that there are some armed soldiers, and these armed soldiers are against us. They come to our schools, they come to our houses, they demolish our houses. And that's all what I knew about Israel. Israel succeeded to show me how strong and powerful and how much they can hurt me, but they never tried to show me that there is another voice inside Israel. There is another people who don't agree with what's going on. And the minute I saw this in 2010, after a long time of being involved in this circle of violence, I understood that there is another way and there is different face for this coin that Israel is trying to show us, and there's partners on the other side, and together we can make it better, because keep ignoring the story of each other, keep ignoring the narrative of each other will not take us to anywhere. And we have to find a way to share this small place and not to divide it into small ghettos here and there. And as long as Jewish people and Palestinian people are not free, no one will be free. As long as I am not free, the Israelis also will not be free. So that's why we are fighting together for the freedom for both sides.
Ayala, I'm just gonna bring in Ayala, because that is quite a strong point, isn't it? That no matter what happens, neither side is free till both sides can live in peace.
Exactly. It is. It's like the picture I always have in my head is like a prisoner and a guard, both tied. So one side has a benefit, but they're both tied and nobody's free. And that's our situation here. And there's no way of solving it through violence. Only if we work together.
Something that Osama also said is just being raised believing that the other side is the enemy. How do you change that mindset? How do you help re-educate families and people to stop telling their children, I suppose, that the other side is the enemy?
It's more than parents telling children, it's the whole system. And you said the word, it's education. Someone needs to be in the head of the pyramid that wants to make a change and wants to work together. And then the educational system has to change. And that's what brought it, and that's what can stop it. Education.
Osama, do you find when you are speaking to other Palestinians, when they see the level of violence and destruction in a place like Gaza, that they're unwilling to join the movement, the organization?
Actually, people are afraid to join this kind of organizations because, as I mentioned before, Israel is still controlling the land, either we accept it or not. Even when we have Palestinian Authority, Israel can enter to any city and arrest anyone. So people are afraid of putting them in themselves in this risk and join. The other side, the other thing is people are disappointed, actually, because since the Palestinian Authority signed the peace agreement with Israel, Israel is taking land piece by piece, and people gave up this whole thing. But we are changing lives of people as much as we can. And through this change, we are doing education. For example, when we go to harvest olive trees for the Palestinians to protect them from settlers, we take Palestinian children and Israeli children to meet when they are young, and to meet, to see each other as a human being and not as enemy before they go to the army.
Do you find, is that helping?
It helps a lot, and I am as responsible of the education department in Competence for Peace. I give lectures to Palestinian students, to Israeli students, teaching them about peace resistance, teaching them about life under occupation, teaching them about the right of the both people to live in this land, and teaching them about how playing the victim all the time will not help anyone, and we should stop playing this game of who's more victim than the other, and start being united together in order to save the future of our kids. This is the only way.
Yeah,
none of us is leaving anywhere from this place.
Indeed. I'm just going to bring in Ayala. And Ayala, we don't have much time left, but I just wanted to ask, I mean, how do you feel the entire system can now change? How do you think there can be some kind of lasting peace, and what your organization does can be translated into something more?
My hope is that the current Prime Minister will change, and it will bring a change because it needs to be systematic. It helps. What we do helps where we work, but for the whole system to change, we need to influence the whole system. And if the Prime Minister will change, if Netanyahu will not succeed to make a government, there's a chance that the system might change, especially after all this violence that's erupted here now. It's like, I'm sorry, but everybody has to see that there's it goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. It's just going to be happening again next year or in 2 years. A solution is needed in a deep way, not just stopping ceasefire now.
Indeed.
Of course, ceasefire now, but then go on.
And something more lasting.
The deep work.
Yeah. Ayala Shalev and Osama Elawat, thank you both for joining us here on the program.
Thank you.